rotting driftwood on the foreign shores, spilling out into the ocean floor, and the memories all you've left without a trace. Paralyzed with the thoughts receding, current sweeps you with the silent bleeding through the heart into the darkest place. Well, turn around, there's nothing to see here. Run away, no reason to be here. It's the ghost who never goes away. Turn around and leave this behind now. You see the ground as it bleeds in the sky now. You fight the sea, you're always gonna drown. All the secrets that you're holding, all the memories you hide, all the frail thoughts that echo in the corners of your mind, they won't even last a moment. They will soon be swept away when the ocean takes you in its arms and carries you away. You carry all your burdens on the cross around your neck. You take whatever's left that you could salvage from the wreck, and the hard past will follow you like a lost dog on the beach, nipping at your trail till you've drifted out of reach. Yeah, turn around, there's nothing to see here. Run away, no reason to be here. It's the ghost who never goes away. Turn around and leave this behind now. See the ground as it bleeds to the sky now. You fight the sea, you're always gonna drown. In the broken line horizon, in the castles made of sand, you tried to hold it in your hands, you tried to understand it. The ocean asks the questions, and it holds the answers too. It dissolves away the lies about the things you thought you knew.
Hello, my friends. 'Tis I, Dame Imager Kaliranya. My heart and my sword are yours. And 'tis I, Adelath Karakai II, bastard son of a real bastard. Your hearts are mine. It's another Eepy Beepy Sunday here on youtube.com/Kaliranya, or however it is you get here these days. I'm doing a little better than last week, perhaps, as far as sleep goes. My main problem is a condition, restless limb syndrome with periodic limb movement disorder. So I will try to go to sleep and then my muscles will start buzzing. It's like this sort of deep itch, like you've got a bug bite somehow half an inch off of your bone, down in the muscle, and it's just absolutely infuriating and gives you an intense urge to move, to try to stretch it out, to try to work it free. Depending on the situation, it can kind of feel like a twitch of, like, almost like a little tick, like you get, like, if your eyelid is twitching or something. It's sort of like that happening, like, at a very tiny little place, very deep down in the muscle. And sometimes it just feels like a buzzing, like a faint electrification of a chunk of a leg or arm. And yeah, it makes it very difficult to sleep, as you might imagine. And so I'll, like, toss and turn and try to settle or get up, walk around. Sometimes often what ends up happening, really, is that I will go lie on the floor, because putting pressure on those spots, like against a hard surface, will slowly kind of ease it out, kind of get it to settle down. But then I'm asleep on the floor, and that's uncomfortable and unrestful in its own ways. I do take medication for it, which helps a lot of the time, but lately it's been, I don't know, just not been very effective. I went onto Reddit, like one does, looking for forums for hyper-specific things, and there is indeed a subreddit, r/RLS, and I was kind of browsing other people's experiences and remedies and whatnot. And a number of people there swear by certain probiotics. Lactobacillus acidophilus. The theory is that restless limbs arise from an issue in iron absorption. And I knew that it was associated with iron levels because it first got really bad when I was donating blood regularly, and thus my serum ferritin, the kind of stored iron levels in my body, were quite low. And my doctor, when I was first really having this problem, I was like, talked to my doctor about it. I was like, yeah, okay, your ferritin levels are low, so we need to get your iron levels back up, and that should help make it better. It did make it better, but it didn't completely cure it. Anyway, I was aware, though, that there's this iron connection. And so the theory is that if your gut biome is one of the things that helps the body with absorbing and taking up the iron from your food, and if your balance is off there, you don't have enough of L. acidophilus to really help with that procedure, then you might end up with the twitchies. So I have started taking an acidophilus probiotic supplement. We will see if it helps. I did not have a twitchy night last, but this is the first night that I have not had trouble in a few days, and it's only been a couple days on the supplement, so I'm not taking this as really an indicative of anything yet, but we shall see what comes of it. This morning, yes, I almost had a full night's sleep. I woke up just for a bathroom run around like 6 a.m., and then my brain just wouldn't shut up and wouldn't let me sleep for about an hour. I wandered downstairs, lay on the couch for a while, grabbed an hour there, got up to help feed the dogs, and then around scheduled stream time, John here wasn't in evidence yet. We had been talking about potentially doing a co-hosted session, though he begged off of that for today. And so I lay down again, and it was another hour on the couch. In other words, chat, my sleep is usually fucked. And I am trying to do better with it. But if I'm a little bit low energy again today, well, that's just the way of it. I am a morning person by nature who has been thwarted from my preferred schedule by various circumstances of household schedule, pets, health, and so on and so forth. You know, mental health, physical health, blah, blah, blah. It's a struggle. But I have at least gotten myself moving an hour and a half late to scheduled stream time to read some more of Sunnydale Imp by BloodRedTiger / John there in the chat. Up till now, we are in pleasant Sunnydale, California, with our gang from Buffy the Vampire Slayer, Season 1. The title character, Mickey the Imp, has appeared for unknown reasons and is bopping about trying to do her superhero thing. She's already slain at least one demon, leaving its corpse upon the sports field out at Sunnydale High. She eventually got back around to cleaning it up, I think. Thankfully for Sunnydale and for the I guess nerves of the vampire hunting crew, Mickey does have one factor helping her not cause as much trouble as she might otherwise, being a devil wandering around Sunnydale, and that is that she has a sort of normality field, a glamour that makes others perceive her as something that fits in, someone who's supposed to be there. And this works to varying degrees on the inhabitants of the town. Most folk are going to see her as an ordinary, if hyperactive and peculiar, teenage girl. The Vampire Hunting Club, being a little bit more attuned to the weird and unusual, can see through the disguise to varying extents, depending on just how weird whatever it is she's up to. But yeah, we haven't really got much further than that, I don't think. Buffy doesn't yet entirely know what's going on with Mickey. Xander is the most clued in. Giles and Buffy are still kind of getting up to speed. Willow's mostly clueless. Yeah. The main worry at the moment is that Buffy is going to go kill on sight, thinking that this otherworldly creature is more hostile or malevolent than she actually is, and there will be a big fight, and it'll be terrible. So the job at hand is preventing that from happening, perhaps. We are on chapter 8. Buffy's just jealous because Mickey's cuter. Maybe. Chapter 8, Why Didn't You Guys Tell Me? Which we might anticipate to be something that Buffy would say. Could also be Willow. I guess we'll find out. Miki let the door click behind her and blinked herself down the corridor to the nearest junction. She'd just been keeping a watchful eye out for this Buffy girl, only to realize she had no idea what the girl looked like. The solution seemed obvious. She would ask somebody. She peered around the corner and found the pickings pretty sparse. She decided to risk the food place again and turned back to find a small group of boys headed her way. They wore matching red and yellow jackets, which reminded Miki of ketchup and mustard. Perhaps they worked a hot dog stand in the evening. They made eye contact and changed course to intercept, so she folded her arms and waited. When they got closer, she gave him her warmest new girl smile and held out a hand in greeting.
Hi guys, I'm Mikisha.
I bet you are. I'm Larry. This here's Kevin, Daniel, Josh. The lead boy was quite large, stocky, and muscular with a thick neck. He had short blonde curly hair and was generally pretty uninteresting. The others were a mixed bag of generic human teenagers, and Mickey's tiny glimmer of succubus sense detected their interest. The big guy leaned close, crowding into her personal space. Aren't you just the tiniest thing? Kevin here was saying he thought it must be bring your kid to work day, and you're a teacher's brat. Is that right? The third boy, Daniel, gave a crude chuckle. I don't mind. She's kinda hot. He stared directly at her chest, then finally at her face. You're pretty hot. Mickey gave him a flat stare.
Thanks.
Kevin leaned close. You ever go to any parties, little girl? Not with you, she thought, but kept it to herself.
Not yet. I just got here. Say, do any of you guys know Buffy?
Larry's expression dropped. Summers? Evidently Buffy wasn't well liked. Why do you want to know?
Snyder said to keep an eye out for her, but I don't know what she looks like.
Oh, well, that's different. Blonde, but yay big, hangs around with the losers.
Losers?
Xander Harris, Willow Rosenberg. Daniel chimed in. That creepy British librarian guy. They all hang out in the library like it's a club or something. He chuckled at his own joke. It's not, though, a club. They're just weird. Xander and Willow were both losers? That was a shame. They seemed so nice. And this Buffy person was their friend, and they hung at the library with the creepy librarian guy. That was interesting. Who were these people? No use asking these clowns about that, but perhaps they could be useful for something.
So, this place has clubs, but not the library.
Well, there's the Bronze.
That's a club? Is it cool?
Come by tonight and see for yourself. She bared her teeth in a grin.
I'll be there.
Okay. Now, what do we have this? Rhonda and Heidi? Oh no. I'm gonna struggle. See, I really ought to do Valley Girl, but I don't know that can I do Valley Girl? Probably not. Oh god. Pass me the light. Rhonda looked up as Heidi approached, an unlit cigarette hanging from her lip. Geez, Dee Dee, you're supposed to be keeping lookout. She waved her own cigarette to illustrate, I'm not done with this one yet. You're taking too long. Lunch break's nearly over. She held out a hand. Give me the lighter. Rhonda grudgingly handed over the cheap windproof lighter. Fine. Nobody's gonna come in the next 10 minutes anyway. Heidi sparked up in a well-practiced motion and took a long drag. Remember the deal. If we get caught on your watch, they're your cigs and you're taking the fall for it. She was about to reply when a girl's voice interrupted.
Taking the fall for what?
Heidi spun around and Rhonda quickly hid her cigarette behind her back. She wafted the smoke with her other hand before noticing that the speaker was just a kid. Who the hell are you?
Mikisha, are you guys allowed to smoke here?
Heidi gave a throaty laugh. Sure. We got special permission from the principal.
Snyder? Yeah, he seems pretty cool.
Rhonda snorted. Are you joking? Snyder's a wart. He'd shit a kidney if he knew what the kids get up to in this school. The girl tilted her head.
So you're not supposed to be smoking.
It's high school, little girl. You do whatever you can get away with. Heidi walked over to the girl and circled around. Something's weird with you. What's with the uniform?
I thought this was at People Ward School?
Well, as you can see, it's not. This isn't a Catholic school, and you look like a dork.
I keep hearing that word, Catholic. What's it mean?
Like church? The girl recoiled.
Oh, ew, really? This is a church uniform?
Rhonda blew out a cloud of smoke. You look like a frightened little church mouse. Is that what you are, little girl? The girl frowned.
Not hardly. I'm a badass.
Heidi and Rhonda exchanged glances, and Rhonda gave a little nod. Here, prove it. Heidi offered the girl her cigarette. After a moment's hesitation, the girl took it and gave it a sniff. She then stubbed it out on the back of her hand, popped it into her mouth like candy, and swallowed it. Rhonda let out a single bark of laughter, then quickly clamped her mouth shut. Oh God, that's so wrong. Why did you do that? The girl shrugged.
I don't smoke. Have you seen what smoke does to your lungs?
Willow quickly realized that Mikisha wasn't coming back, which probably meant Snyder was going to shout at her. Her, meaning Willow, not Mikisha. The principal seemed to be quite friendly with the new girl, which was... Eesh. She suppressed a shudder. She also had to process the news that Mikisha knew about Sunnydale's vampire problem and wasn't afraid. The lack of fear could be due to craziness or not taking the threat seriously, or it could be that the tiny girl had faced vampires before. Whatever the reason, she was scared of something within the school, and the weird behavior had started in the cafeteria with whatever Xander had whispered in her ear. Determined to get answers, she left the classroom. She needed to talk to Buffy and Giles, but first she needed to find Xander. Xander was nervous, and steadily growing more nervous as the day wore on. Buffy hadn't turned up for lunch, which never happened unless she was hunting for some monster. He'd managed to warn Miki, but he wasn't sure she appreciated the gravity of the situation. Willow was supposed to be keeping Miki away from Buffy, but nobody had told Buffy that, and they could run into each other anytime. What would be really ideal would be for Mikisha to quit this schoolgirl thing and go back to her hole in the ground. Why would anybody pose as human just so they could attend high school? What was she hoping to gain? Did she even know what a slayer was? Oh God, of course she didn't. Xander! He spun on the spot to find Willow walking quickly toward him. He looked past her, but there was no sign of Miki. He looked again, just to be sure. This was definitely newsworthy, but he didn't know what it meant. Willow! I see you're missing your little friend. Oop. Did we have a falling out? No, I don't think so anyway. She started acting weird after you said whatever it was you said. What did you say to her? Nothing. I was just letting her know we might be hanging out at the Bronze tonight, and she should maybe check it out. You haven't seen Buffy running around anywhere, have you? Not since Snyder sent me babysitting his new project. There's something hinky going on, I know it. I mean, I know it, but I don't know what it is. She stuck her chin out. But I'm going to find out. Cordelia hove into view with Harmony and Shanice in tow. Find out what? They both jumped. Nothing, blurted Xander. Everything's normal, added Willow. Cordelia was having none of it. Sure, except there's a candidate for the worst dressed list running about the school. It's bad enough looking at you two paragons of the passé and pathetic, but this new girl clearly needs a full-scale fashion intervention. Xander scoffed. Sure. First day in a strange new school, and the thing she needs most is to be pecked to death by you and your flock of harpies. Harmony let out a yelp, startling everybody, and the group spread out to find Mickey stood in their midst. Huh. So you use that turn of phrase too. Is that a British thing? Find somebody stood in their midst instead of standing? That was all over the Gundog visual novel too. Like, I'd never heard anybody say that before. Like, using stood that way. Anyway. I wouldn't really note that as like a copy edit thing. It might just be a me thing that I've nearly heard it that way. Yeah, I was stood over there. I never heard anybody say that until like this year when I started reading these specific things on stream, and that phrase is all over it. I was stood over there. Huh. At least it looked like Mickey, but she was wearing black jeans, a white vest, and a black leather jacket with blue sleeves. Instead of spiky bunches, her black hair hung in a long, sleek ponytail. Yeah, it could be a Brit thing. I wonder if... I have to pay a little bit closer attention to Gundog. Maybe they're using British English too. Xander didn't know what to say, or indeed if the others were seeing the same thing he was. There were no screams, so... No, he guessed, the girls couldn't see the horns, wings, or tail. Now that was a typo. Not a criticism. New look? The devil girl pulled a face. Somebody told me I looked like a frightened church mouse. Why didn't you guys tell me? Ah, so it was Miki saying that. Cute. Cordelia rallied slightly. We were on our way to do just that. I'm Cordelia. I love your jacket, gushed Shanice. Cordelia shot the girl a frown, then turned her attention back to the new girl. Are you always this small? You're like a little doll. We could play dress up. Huh, what are you, like 5 foot nothing? Mickey narrowed her eyes warily. 4'8". And if you girls want to get together and swap clothes, I'm all for it. I'd love to see you try to squeeze your gigantic hips into one of my outfits. Cordy bristled. Are you calling me fat? No, I'm calling you big. I'm small, you're big. Duh. I don't have to take that from you, you little pipsqueak. There's not an ounce of fat on my body. Do you know how much my parents pay for my dietitian? Don't care. Go away. She turned her back on the three of them. I need to talk to my friends. I knew it. The losers always gravitate together. Cordelia turned away. It's better this way. It makes them easier to avoid. She took a step and was dragged back by the strap of her bag. She tugged at it and met resistance from Miki's surprisingly strong grip. The smaller girl smiled brightly, but her eyes were hard and dangerous. She pulled the bag closer until she could hiss in the tall girl's ear. "Would you like me to yank out all your fingernails?" Cordy yanked on her bag and stumbled back when Miki released it. "Get away from me, you little psycho. You and Buffy deserve each other." Miki put her hands on her hips as the three hurried away. "Meanies." Xander watched Cordy's little gang embellish the story as they stalked down the corridor. "Of course you realize they're going to be talking about this for days." Miki cracked her knuckles. "Doesn't matter. I don't know if I like this school." Willow had been quietly hiding from the confrontation and finally spoke up. "So why exactly are you here?" "Because there's a mystery here, and I want it." "You mean you want to solve it? I don't think that's such a good idea." Willow shot Xander a worried look. Xander shrugged. "No big mystery here. It's just a normal school where bad things happen on a regular basis." Miki frowned. "Yeah, I don't think this is a good environment for kids. Not even bullies like that Taldelia girl." Xander cracked a grin. "We keep praying that she'll get eaten, but nothing seems to want her." End of chapter. That was not such a long one. I need to make sure to keep hydrating. Hang on. Made myself go for Gatorade instead of coffee for the sake of my voice, right? Indeed. Yes. Oh yeah. We're just getting started. Half an hour, it's nothing. Chapter 9, Everybody Except You. An electric bell sounded, and Miki wondered at the significance. "Lunchtime's over," explained Xander. "I gotta get to class. Math and history. Deep joy." Willow hesitated. "You need to tell Buffy." "I'll get her up to speed. Maybe you should take Mickey to the football field. Get some air." Willow nodded. "Sports are an important part of the curriculum." To speak Willow, you need to remember she always talks with her eyebrows way up and mouth kind of pulled down. Right? Yeah. I can visualize the way that she speaks. Xander hurried away and was quickly lost in the swirling mass of students rushing to classes. Mickey eyed the jostling crowd. "Is it always this rough when the bell rings?" she asked. "Pretty much," replied Willow. "How do you avoid getting crushed?" "I get there early. Or, on time." Instead of heading directly outdoors, Willow took Mickey to the sports hall to watch a PE class in session. The new girl seemed a bit confused by the rules, but got inordinately excited when Willow mentioned that PE was required for all students. "Everybody gets to play? Even me?" "They make everybody do it, so they'll probably make you do it too. You like sports?" "I don't know. I've never been allowed to play." "Because you were homeschooled." "Huh?" She blinked. "Oh, that. Yeah." "I was thinking if your academic scores aren't so good, maybe you can concentrate on sports." "I can probably do whatever it is they're doing." This is just warming up. I think they'll be doing some running and jumping over things. Mickey leaned back against the wall. Psh, I can do that. That's a start. Have you ever done any gymnastics? Bending and stretching and balancing? I can balance pretty good. Come on, I'll show you the outdoor sports. They crossed the athletic fields, and Mickey goggled at the number of students.
This is a team? It's more like an army.
Willow chuckled. The teams haven't been officially picked yet, so these are just practice sessions. In a few weeks, they'll have proper tryouts where everybody gets a chance to prove they could be chosen, or they should be chosen.
Even me? They'd have me in their team? Even though I'm no good at any of the other school stuff?
Mickey probably thinks bending means twisting iron bars into pretzels. That would sure, get her on some team or other. Well, sure, if you're good enough. They want whoever's best, and that's really all that matters sometimes. Do you think you're good enough to be on a team?
I'd like to think so. I'm pretty special.
I'm sure Principal Snyder wouldn't mind if we talked to one of the coaches. Which team do you think you'd be interested in? Mickey looked around the field, looking thoughtful.
Is there a weightlifting team?
Xander's math class was boring, and it wasn't improved by Cordelia turning in her chair at regular intervals to shoot him dirty looks, as though it was his fault she'd tried to bully an actual devil. Eventually, the class came to an end, and Mr. Merriweather closed his book as the bell rang, shooing the students away to their next class. Once all the cool kids were clear of the doorway, Xander was able to leave the room and overheard Cordelia's much embellished retelling of the newest big story. A little freak attacked me in front of everybody right outside Snyder's office. What is it with this school and vicious little losers? The usual suspects were gathered around, making the expected noises of sympathy. Less expected was the attention of Kyle DeFore and his friends, a group of well-known bad kids that the wiser students avoided altogether. They slid through the crowd like sharks and closed around Cordelia's group. Cordelia prattled on, oblivious. I had to fight her off with my bag. She was shouting and trying to scratch me. It was pathetic. She noticed the unwelcome scrutiny and tilted her head in disdain. Can I help you? Leave Makisha alone, ordered Kyle, and stop making shit up. You got no idea. Cordelia stared. Excuse me? Rhonda stepped forward. I'd gone and done it again. Because I almost made Rhonda an Adelath voice. There we go. There, okay. Telling people you fought her off? She'd snap you like a twig. What is this? The Psycho Dwarf Fan Club? Xander wrestled with his conscience and found himself moving to Cordy's defense. Kyle's group straightened a little as he approached, and Tor gave him a small nod. Since the hyena incident a year before, Xander had commanded an uneasy respect from the vicious hoodlums. Thinking fast, he stood up as tall as he could and quirked an eyebrow at the outraged cheerleaders. Telling them to break it up was a waste of time, and getting into an argument would just make things worse. But somehow Mickey had earned the pack's allegiance, and he could use that to defuse the situation. She can handle this for herself. The four locked eyes at them several long seconds, then turned away as one and wandered off. It was another few seconds before Xander remembered to breathe. So Cordelia gave him a disgusted glare. Whatever. She turned and led her followers away, leaving Xander alone in a pocket of space. Buffy stepped into the empty space, a questioning look on her face. So, what was that exactly? I mean, I've been on the end of Cordelia's tried to kill me story, but I did nearly stake her. What's happened this time? New girl told Cordy she'd yank her fingernails out. Youch. Buffy eyed her friend sidelong. You think she meant it? Cordy sure thought so. Mickey's got that short kid intensity. Buffy hesitated, then decided to plow on with the news. Giles is pretty certain there's something weird about this new girl. Xander paled. Weird? Mickey? Nah, she's cool. Totally harmless. She's been here all day and the worst she's done is threaten Cordelia. He smirked. If that's what demons are doing for fun these days, then yay Hellmouth. I didn't say she was a demon. Oh. His mouth hung open for a second. Well, I assumed that was what you meant. Although, obviously she's just a kid. Totally normal. That's exactly the problem. We think it's a spell, making everybody think she's normal. Everybody except you? Giles thinks it's a Slayer thing, but I think it might have been a glitch. I've been looking for this girl all day. I just wish I knew what she was doing. Oh, come on, it'll be fun. Willow tried her best to resist Makisha's wheedling, but the girl had seen her resolve face and countered it with puppy dog eyes and a quivering lip so sorrowful, it took all Willow's resolve to resist scooping her into a hug. I might even learn something. Okay, fine. You can come to history with me, but you'll have to sit at the back and be quiet. I won't have you disrupting class for the others. Some of us are there to learn. I'll be good. Oh, hello, Redicorn. Willow wasn't entirely convinced. The butter wouldn't melt expression looked more mischievous than innocent, and she was pretty sure Makisha was crossing her fingers behind her back. But she was committed now, and so she found herself explaining the situation to Mrs. Langtree, while Makisha took a table at the back and started making notes in Willow's spare notebook. Buffy watched with interest as Willow came in late, showed Mrs. Langtree a sheet of paper, and then sat in her usual seat. She managed to give a vague shrug, but Buffy couldn't tell what she was trying to convey. Mrs. Langtree resumed her reading. Something about Benjamin Franklin, and Buffy tried to concentrate, but something felt off. Something was wrong, but she couldn't put her finger on it. To her left, Xander was gesturing silently at Willow, vague little signals only the best of friends could hope to interpret, until he glanced at the back of the classroom, and Willow did likewise. What were they looking at? The wrong feeling coalesced into an uneasy sensation on the back of her neck, like the feeling of being stalked by a vampire. Oh, what is the crown thing? I don't actually know. It's new... YouTube something. It marks you all as top fans. Apparently both John and you have 75 XP apiece. Yeah, to promote interaction. What's funny is that the plugin that I've got here for showing the chat doesn't show the crowns. It's just got the purple blob and the numbers. So who knows what that's about. Trying to make it look natural, Buffy dropped her pen and quickly bent over to pick it up, As she straightened, she just happened to look back over her shoulder. Then she sat ramrod straight and looked straight ahead. There was a demon in the classroom. It looked like a little girl with horns, and it looked for all the world as though she was writing notes about Benjamin Franklin. And nobody in the class had the slightest clue. Mickey was learning stuff, and it was just like story time at the library. This Ben Frank guy had 16 siblings, which reminded her of home, and the story was just starting to get interesting. His family were making fun of the church, which she could definitely identify with, and now the oldest brother was in prison, leaving Ben Frank to look after the newspaper business. I could do a newspaper, she mused. Just a little one, just for me and my friends. Oh wow, education is inspiring me to greater things. She looked up from her notes and caught the blonde girl taking another sneaky peek. She wasn't the only kid stealing glances at the new girl, but she was the only one with that wide-eyed, I can see through your illusion look. Mickey took the opportunity to look back and didn't see anything to be afraid of. Kinda pretty, cute nose, probably just cursed with true sight or something lame. Mickey gave her a little wave and smiled, careful not to show off her pointy teeth. Jack said her fangy teeth were cute, but then again Jack was a wolf. Everyone else used words like disconcerting, and she didn't even really know what that meant. Miss Summers, can we have your attention at the front of the room, please? Thank you. The girl whirled back around, confirming beyond a doubt that she was Buffy Summers, the girl Snyder had warned her about. Snyder hadn't said anything about supernatural powers, however, only that the girl was trouble. Well, that meant nothing. Mickey was trouble too, and in most situations she'd be happy to mix it up with a stranger just to see who came out on top. But Buffy was Willow's and Xander's best friend, and if she had true sight, that probably explained how they all knew about the vampires and stuff. It was only a matter of time until Buffy told Willow what she'd seen, and then Xander would have no choice but to admit he already knew. It sucked, and if she didn't handle things just right, she could end up losing her two new friends. Nobody can have your attention, you will not fall for your fey trickery? Are you still talking about YouTube? She realized she'd stopped listening to the story, and now she didn't know what the teacher was talking about. Alec trickery? What did that have to do with anything? Frustrated, she waited until the teacher's back was turned, then teleported to the door. She eased it open a crack and blinked herself out through the gap. Buffy heard the door creak quietly, and turned in time to spot the demon girl vanish into thin air. The door swung back with a click, and Buffy blinked. The girl had small wings and a long whippy tail, but the thing that struck Buffy most was her body language. The demon was sad, probably lonely. Oh, the story asked for attention. Oh, the teacher. Gotcha. I was gonna say, don't I have your attention, Rowan Accord? Mm-hmm. Or perhaps Rowan Accord would prefer my attention. I don't know that Rowan Acord's up for any of that, my dude. And she could teleport. What the hell? Why even bother opening the door? She puzzled it over for a few minutes more, and then class was over. Willow hurriedly packed up, but stopped dead when she saw the empty desk at the back of the room. Oh no! Makisha! Where did she go? Xander jumped up. She left? I didn't see her leave. Willow shoved her way into the mass of students leaving the room, so Buffy and Xander followed. She's not here! Exclaimed the redhead. Principal Snyder told me to keep an eye on her, and now she's gone. What if she gets into trouble? Buffy pulled a face. Something tells me she can look after herself for 45 minutes. But she's alone in a strange school in a strange country, and she can't read the signs. I mean, literally. What if she goes into a place that she should not enter? Again, I don't think that's our main concern here. Will, I'm pretty sure your new friend is a demon. Or possibly possessed. Either way, she's not of the entirely human persuasion. Willow blinked. But why spend a day at school pretending to be normal? Only two reasons come to mind. First one, she wanted to get close to me. Xander shook his head. But she didn't try to get close to you. In fact, Snyder told Willow to keep her away from you because you're a bad influence. Thanks. That leaves reason number 2. Willow's eyes went wide. She knows about the Hellmouth. One of you wants my attention, the other wants to give me theirs. Like there's a deal to be struck. What? Alright. Do go on. Fill me in. You must remember, we've got streamer brain. We concentrating on too many things at once. Reading between the lines is not an easy task. Alright, chapter 10. OG a trap. After last period, Buffy and Willow met up at the library. Giles eyed the pair and glanced at the door. No Xander today? I had to go somewhere. Guy stuff, he said. I see. I take it you passed on our suspicions regarding Miss Nichols. Miss who? Buffy frowned. Makisha Nichols? The, new girl? Oh, Buffy blinked. Nobody told me she had a surname. A particularly non-demony sounding surname. Willow flopped into a chair. I can sort of believe it when you say it, but then I think about it and I still can't really believe it. She bit her lip. I mean, sure, it's strange that she can't read very well, but it made sense at the time, and it was weird that she changed clothes in the middle of the day, and I only realized that just now. Was I really this close to a demon all day long without noticing anything? Giles gave her a compassionate smile. Yes, she was quite charming, I suppose. She certainly managed to work her magic on most of the faculty's administrative staff. There's not a single scrap of paperwork on file to suggest that she's a student, but everybody seems willing to accept her at face value. It's rather telling that everybody I've asked insists that she's a normal kid. Buffy raised an eyebrow. Did you just say kid? Not child or student or teenager? I was quoting directly. This spell or glamour seems to implant those words quite strongly. She's just a normal kid, and everything she says and does seems normal to observers. He nodded toward Buffy. In most cases. It's almost certainly a Slayer thing. You're always telling me I should be able to recognize vampires on sight. This is probably something similar. Willow frowned. But you can't recognize them on sight, I mean. They look like normal people until they go all grrr. Buffy shrugged. Well, this is one disguise I can see through, clear as day. Willow nodded unhappily. What does she look like, really? Black hair, kind of reddish skin? Not very, but a little. Buffy counted off features on her fingers. Pointy ears, goofy little horns, like a baby lamb or something. And she's got wings, like a bat, but the skin's kind of purple? Oh yeah, a tail, about yay long with a triangle bit on the end. What did her face look like? Is she a monster? Buffy tilted her head. Aside from the wings and stuff, she did sort of look like a normal girl. Hilariously small, but otherwise normal. Giles stood at the head of the table, listening to the description with interest. I myself didn't notice anything out of the ordinary until I tried placing her accent. Even then, I didn't register anything unusual about her appearance, except that she was wearing some kind of Catholic uniform. He raised a brow then. Willow, I don't suppose you noticed whether she was wearing a cross. I didn't see one, sorry. Buffy, what would you estimate her wingspan to be, fully extended? Pfft, I don't know. They looked like this much and then this much, so say... She held out her hands a few feet apart. One wing opens maybe this far? Why? Willow did some quick calculations. Wings that small wouldn't generate enough lift. Further analysis was interrupted when the library doors banged open and Cordelia stomped angrily in, glaring at the room in general. All right, where is she? Giles swept up his notes into a folder and dropped it into his open briefcase. Cordelia, you're looking for someone? The new girl. I know she's part of your weird little nerd club because she's a weird little nerd. She stopped a short distance from the tables and put her hands on her hips. She threatens me, and now Snyder's giving me detention for bullying. I don't know what she's got on that little weasel. Do you think they're related? She met their blank looks with a scowl. Well, what? Is she here or not? Buffy slapped her palm on the table. Grab a book. New girl's a demon. I knew it. Xander left the school grounds and walked halfway home before taking a wide detour and doubling back to approach Miki's den from the other side. He didn't want to give away her position by simply walking straight to the bushes, and he didn't have her knack of teleporting from spot to spot, so a bit of enforced exercise was the safest way. He just hoped she'd be there when he arrived. As luck would have it, she was. He crouch-walked his way in through the tunnel and called out her name as loudly as he dared. Miki, it's Xander. Are you in here? Yeah. He felt his way around the corners and emerged into the extremely dim light of a battery-powered flashlight hanging from the ceiling. Oh, hey. Electricity. Okay. Off-topic question. Ignore if desired. I learned that people in my usual magic group never played any Final Fantasy games. Any recommendations where to start? I was thinking 9 or 10, but don't know. Where to, okay. Yeah, I don't... Honestly, you could start with just about any of them. They are pretty independent and all pretty good. Lots and lots and lots of people started with 7. But that one's got a remake underway that who knows how long it's going to take to actually finish out. 10 is pretty good, yeah. Some people... It could be a little love and hate, though. It depends how you warm to the characters. 9? Yeah, you could do 9 for sure. I really don't think you could go wrong. Are you working with stuff that's are you gonna be emulating the originals? Are you gonna be grabbing stuff that's on Steam? Do you have any restrictions whatsoever? Miki sat at a camping table, carefully examining the dismembered remains of another flashlight. She glanced up as he entered. Hey there! Come on in! What you making there?
I'm trying to figure out how it works. I know the power comes out of the batteries and goes through the metal bits, and if both kinds of power get to the glass bit, it lights up.
That sounds about right. What do you mean, both kinds of power?
I figured it all out. The glass thing only works if it gets power from both ends, so it must be two kinds of power. One kind comes from this end, the other comes from this bit. And because the ends are made of metal, the power that comes out can only travel along more metal bits. Sympathetic magic. It's quite clever. She fiddled with the broken components and got the lamp to flicker briefly. It's hard holding all the parts together, and I want to make the middle bits longer so I can space it out.
I'll get you some cable. It's like rope, but the insides are metal for the power to go through.
And I just tie it around the batteries?
They have connectors for that, and solder, which is like special glue made out of metal. I'll see what I can find.
Wow, that'd be cool. Then I can make proper house lights. He chuckled at her enthusiasm, then spotted a familiar item on the table. He picked it up.
Willow's notebook?
She lent it me for history class, but I had to leave.
Willow was pretty upset when she saw you'd gone.
Mickey's eyes went wide. I'll give it back. I only drew in a couple of pages.
She's not upset about the notebook, Mickey.
The imp looked downcast. I was actually learning stuff in a school, and for a while I felt like a normal girl. But that Buffy girl kept turning and looking at me, and I just know she's gonna tell Willow and everybody, and then nobody'll like me. Xander pulled up a stool and sat.
It's a problem, but I'm pretty sure we can work it out. I mean, Buffy's got the hots for a vampire.
Mickey shrugged. Some vampires can be okay. I learned sword fighting from a blood queen. If she cut you, she'd stop and lick the wound till it closed.
Xander cringed. I can't decide if that's hot or terrifying.
A bit of both. She reached and took the notebook out of his hands. Anyway, I had an idea, and I made this. She turned the page and handed it back to Xander, who squinted in the poor light.
The inner circle?
He scanned the page, growing more confused with each line.
Wait a minute. I thought you couldn't read.
I can draw the shapes okay, but reading the words is still hard. It's easier when I know what I want them to say, but when somebody else has written it, I don't know what they were thinking.
You're a very strange little girl.
She beamed. I know.
And I guess you really were paying attention in history, huh?
For a while. Then I got distracted and lost track of the story. Can you give that to Willow for me, please?
Xander nodded. I'll make sure she understands.
At least one of them has also added Final Fantasy XIV to their Steam wishlist. See, 14, okay. 14 is an MMO, which makes it a little bit different, more than a little bit different. But you do kind of get 5 Final Fantasies in one with that. Because, like, every expansion is like an entire Final Fantasy game. Hot things can be rather terrifying, blazing infernos, exploding volcanoes. Fire bad. Yeah, that's how the world's ending, after all. Turns out, that's the way we decided to go. Fire rather than ice. That evening, Xander met up with Willow and Buffy at the Bronze. As Sunnydale's only halfway decent club, it was the best place to find teens of the fun-having variety, and therefore also a regular hunting spot for vampires seeking something in the young and foolish food group. Buffy was keeping a watchful eye on the crowd while Willow nursed a chocolate milkshake. I see a Xander, announced the Slayer. Willow perked up a little, sitting up on her stool to track his movement around the dance floor.
He spotted her and held up a hand in greeting, before pointing to the bar to indicate that he was going to get a drink. Several minutes later, he reached the small table and grabbed himself a stool. "Hey, ladies. Soda's nice and warm tonight." He took a sip. "I stand corrected. Warm and flat." "Ah, yes. My roller derby name." Willow nodded. "The draft pump's broken. A guy was supposed to come and fix it, but he never turned up." In this town, that most likely meant the repair guy would never be seen again, which was bad enough in itself, but it also meant a few more days of rubbish drinks, the narrator said Britishly. "You could always buy bottles or cans from a machine," suggested Buffy. Xander considered it, but Willow shook her head. "Empty. Refill's not due until the end of the week." "How's the milk?" I don't know who's saying that, but how's the milkshake? "It's okay. Appropriately milky and shaky." I will say, John, you have nailed the Buffy speak. These characters really do sound, when they're not being British, they really do sound like the way that Whedon would write them. They sat quietly for a moment, letting the noise and music happen around them. "So," Xander ventured, "any luck with the research?" Buffy rolled her eyes. "Nothing conclusive. And we had help." Xander raised a brow and Willow filled in. "Cordelia. She spent a whole hour complaining because Snyder's given her detention for bullying Makisha." "Huh? But how did he even find out?" "Apparently Cordelia was telling her side of the story to everybody, and Snyder overheard her say she'd been fighting with the new girl. He said Cordelia was twice Makisha's size, so Cordy must have started it." "Wow, that's messed up." He sipped his drink and grimaced. "Wow, every gulp still manages to surprise and disappoint. So, Cordelia was helping with the research. She knows Mickey's not human?" Buffy made a non-committal shrug. Seemed only fair to let her know why everybody's on Mickey's side before she escalates her grudge into something violent. You've already had to save her from Kyle and his pack of savages this afternoon. We don't really want her pushing new girls' buttons. She sipped her own drink, a passable cup of coffee, and continued. "Giles was geeking out with his books. He thinks Mickey's a classical demon of the biblical variety. Your typical Sunnydale demon is just a big scaly freak with horns or fangs or whatever, but apparently red skin, horns, wings, the tail, all say something important. If she had cloven hooves, he'd probably have wet himself. She's an abracadabra or something." Willow smirked. "An Abrahamic demon." "Devil." Xander corrected her, slightly smug. "Mickey's a devil, not a demon. Apparently where she's from, a demon's something else entirely. If you want to know more, you can ask her yourself when she gets here." Both girls put down their drinks and gave him a questioning stare. He crumbled almost immediately. "I found her after school and we had a chat." He pulled Willow's notebook from his jacket pocket and pushed it across the table. "Here, you should take a look at this." Willow did so and found half a page of scratchy symbols. Xander craned to see and sighed. "Not that page. I'm pretty sure that's her class notes from history." She turned the page and gasped in surprise. She made a newspaper. And it's in English? Sort of?" Xander made a dismissive gesture. "She can write, but she can't spell." Buffy leaned to read over Willow's shoulder. "What's it say?" "Oh. It's an apology. She says she feels bad that she tricked me, but it makes her sad when people see her and freak out." Buffy swung back into her seat. Fair enough, I guess. I'd take steps to minimize panic too in her place. Xander's relief was palpable. So, you're not planning any slayage? Not unless she's evil. Besides, it's nice that you guys made a new friend. She pointed to the page. What's that at the bottom? Articles? Willow peered at the tiny cramped text. It looks like survival advice. How to deal with a streakneck revenant. How to handle household spirits. Why hellhounds make terrible pets. Buffy smiled. If any of that's legit, you can add it to Ja's collection. Authentic monster lore from the hand of an actual demon. Or devil. She glanced around the room and suddenly sat up straight. Uh-oh, stop the press. Duty calls. The nerdy-looking goth kid smirked at the tall, slender brunette on his arm. She wore a wine-colored dress with a high collar, and she was way out of his league. There was no way a girl like that would talk to a guy like him, but vampires weren't that choosy. Buffy pushed her way through the crowd and got a good look at the pair as they slipped out the side door. The nerdy kid looked like a vampire wannabe himself. Heck, the girl probably even told him what she was, and he was still going out into the alley with her. She sighed. Sometimes saving people just didn't seem worth the effort. The Slayer reached the side door and flung it open. She wasn't bothered about stealth. A distracting sound could spook a vampire and give her more chance to spoil their meal. She jogged a few steps and caught sight of the pair headed toward the fenced-off end of the alleyway. Buffy stood in plain view and called out to the pair. Making your move in a dark alley? Doesn't that feel a bit, I don't know, cheap? The pair turned, and Buffy's Slayer sense jumped a notch. She hadn't surprised them, which meant they were expecting her to follow them out here. Oh gee, a trap. Let me guess, you're both vampires? The guy pouted. She figured it out already. I told you we wouldn't get to do the surprise thing. Buffy cocked her hip. There was a plan, and this was it? 2 vamps in an alley? She palmed her stake, raising it in overhand grip. Bring it on. A footstep scuffed the ground behind her, and she half turned to see who it was. A tall vampire in a long red coat was not what she wanted to see. He chuckled and clapped his hands slowly. Good work, my children. Now kill her, and the Anointed will honor us over all our kind. Buffy shot him a dirty look. Let me guess, you're the backstop? He treated her to a fanged smile. There is no escape, Slayer. Mark, Sheridan, kill her. Sensing that Redcoat wasn't going to participate, she swung toward the 2 assassins, ducking beneath the girl's high kick and blocking a punch from the goth boy. She lashed backward with a sweep that staggered the girl and immediately came under a ferocious assault from the boy. She rolled aside and sprang to her feet. The boy rushed her, but she was ready for it, and turned his leading punch into a grab and throw that landed him on his back in a pile of garbage. Quick as a flash, the girl was on her, slashing with sharp scarlet fingernails. Buffy tried for the same grab, but the vamp was too fast. Buffy took a kick to the knee for her trouble, and a follow-up kick to the gut knocked her back a step. Gothboy scrambled to his feet and ran to attack, giving Buffy time to regroup as he got in his partner's way. Realizing she wasn't going to land an easy staking, she tucked the weapon into a back pocket and prepared for a real fight. She exchanged blows with the boy, a flurry of blocked punches and kicks that gained her some ground but did no damage. The girl was looking for an opportunity to attack her flank, so Buffy took the initiative and lunged past her opponent, catching him a lucky elbow to the face and passing as she charged the girl. Eyes wide, the vamp stepped back into a strong guard position, hands and claws outstretched. Buffy hesitated and felt a boot slam into her ribs from behind. She'd been drawn out of position and outflanked herself. Now that her attention was divided, the vampire girl surged forward, hissing through her grotesque fangs. Buffy spun a feint at the boy, then lashed a back kick at the girl's face that knocked her off course. The boy pressed forward, but Buffy had his measure now, and almost broke his arm with a solid strike to the elbow. The vampire let out a shriek of pain, but the joint held and he was able to pull back out of range, eyeing her warily. She took a few steps back as the combatants spread out in the alleyway. If they came at her together, she would need time to choose her moves, and only a decent distance would give her that. She sensed movement at her back and rolled aside as a booted foot flashed through the air inches from her head. Redcoat gave her a wicked smile and stepped away back out of range. She scowled at him. Yeah, no escape, yada yada. I'll deal with you later. The younger vamps began to close in. She couldn't retreat any further without turning her back on the pair, and by closing slowly they denied her the reaction space she sorely needed. If she could land a quick kill it would even the odds, so she slowly drew her stake and prepared to attack. If she picked the right moment she might catch one of them wrong-footed. She braced herself ready to make a move, and then someone else was there. The new girl, Makisha, just appeared, standing in the middle of the fight like she'd been there all along. Buffy had no idea how. No sound, no flash, no warning, just sudden presence. Oi! Mickey snapped, hands on her hips. Leave my friend alone! Buffy blinked and the vampires were frozen in shock. The devil girl stood between them in a short white dress and black boots. Buffy could clearly see the wings and tail. She had no idea what the vampires were seeing. Apparently they saw food. Despite the sudden appearance, they didn't look impressed. What are you supposed to be? The girl sneered. Dessert? And then Miki was gone again. No flash, no shimmer, no sound. In an instant she vanished from the center of the group and reappeared directly in front of the tall vampire girl. She reappeared mid-motion, already wound up, already swinging. The back of her fist lashed diagonally upward in a vicious arc and slammed into the vampire's chin, launching her up and backward. The undead creature struck the wall and bounced, spinning through the air and smashing into the wire fence several yards back, demolishing it with the impact. She landed in the assorted garbage and broken fencing, a tangle of dark hair and pale limbs. Buffy and the vampires stared in shock. Gothboy took a step forward and called out her name. Sheridan! That was all the distraction Buffy needed. She surged forward and drove her stake into his chest, exploding the troublesome goth into ash. Makisha ran to her side. Are you all right? Buffy heard running footsteps and looked round to see the red-coated vamp hightailing it out of there. She looked back to the ruined fence and saw the vampire girl, Sheridan, picking her way unsteadily through the garbage to make her escape. Yeah, she gave the devil girl a smile. I'm okay. All right, chapter 10 done. Always interesting how name association works. I went to school with a guy nicknamed Buffy, so can't help but imagine that person. When consider classic demon pre-Christian, well, yeah, I mean, it's Abrahamic, right? Which is... Abraham is older than Christian. Alright, I am at least going to take a break here. I could use the bathroom, I could use a fresh drink, I could use a snack. So I will go take care of all of those bodily needs and be back in a few minutes. In the meantime, enjoy some copyright strike immune musical numbers. Oh, you have to go. Okay, well maybe then instead we will just call it the end of the stream. Hang on. What? Back to the live page. Okay, in that case, good night, John. Ending on chapter 10 seems like a nice round number. And as I always say, VTubers fucking love round numbers. So, until next time, my friends, live with honor and your heart is unassailable. Don't do anything I wouldn't do.
Let me go, there's no doubt. Gotta get out of this small town. You took my heart from me. Now you're everywhere I see. free, let me fly, let me find new kinds of highs. We're just wasting here, waiting for another year. We both know the score, we've been here once before. So many words unspoken, you took my heart, it's already broken. You don't have to wait, I can take the pain. I will surrender, let me go on a new adventure. On a new adventure. On a new adventure. It's my time, watch me build another life. Find another space, explore the world and find my place. Hope you find some peace of mind, hope the night was worth your time. Threw my heart away, we won't see another day. We both know the score, we've been here once before. So many words unspoken, you took my heart, it's already broken. You don't have to wait, I can take the pain. I will surrender, let me go. It's a new adventure. On a new adventure. On a new adventure.